Okay, and I know the sun is quite bright, so we'll try to, we have a lot of speakers, but we'll keep it concise. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Very, very excited to be able to immediately move on some incredible opportunities that the state has opened up for municipalities and for our communities all across Massachusetts. Before I dive into my remarks, I want to acknowledge some of the organizations and leaders who are here, some of whom you will hear from shortly as well. The HEAT team is here, Home Energy Efficiency Team, Eastie Farm, ACE, Alternatives for Community Environment, BCEC, the Boston Clean Energy Coalition, Mothers Out Front, Environment Mass, 350 Mass. We have representation, the Sierra Club is here, MCAN, the Mass Climate Action Networks, and then in terms of my colleagues in government, you'll hear from just a selection who are going to represent the council and the state legislature. City Councilor Kenzie Bach, City Councilor Gigi Coletta, City Councilor Kendra Lara, former City Councilor Matt O'Malley, Senator Lydia Edwards, Representative Jeff Roy, who will speak right after me. Senator Barrett's staff is here. Thank you so much. Representative John Santiago, Representative Brandy Fluker Oakley's team is here. Representative Nika Elugardo. Did I miss anyone elected? Okay, I think I got it. Okay. Oh, Senator Cream's staff is here as well. Thank you. Okay, again, we are so excited to celebrate the recent climate bill passed by the Massachusetts State Legislature and signed into law by Governor Baker. Thank you to Senate President Karen Spilka, Senator Mike Barrett, House Speaker Ron Mariano, and Chairman Jeff Roy for your leadership in crafting and passing this important legislation. Thank you also to the climate activists who have been demanding a livable planet and organizing for it for decades. Young people who have organized across our city have continued to push the urgency of ensuring that we can pass on a future that our kids and their kids deserve. It's especially timely that this bill was finalized and passed just as our city cooled down from the 3 hottest weeks in more than 150 years of record keeping. Heat like we've just experienced will become increasingly common here in Boston and in Massachusetts as the climate crisis continues to bear down on us. The recent heat waves and those to come will be in part the result of our carbon emissions. And the majority of our emissions come from cities, and in Boston come from our building sector. These emissions not only expedite climate change, they impact the air quality, the efficiency of our buildings, the health of our residents in their offices, schools, and homes. Our community members deserve to work, learn, and live in spaces that are healthy, energy efficient, that save them money on utilities costs. We know that taking measures to improve air quality and energy efficiency has little to no impact on the net cost of a building with the technology that is available today. Already, we have school buildings like the Boston Arts Academy that are running at or near net zero, and our Green New Deal for Boston Public Schools is already underway to keep that momentum going. We celebrate developments like the Kenzie at Bartlett Station, which will create fully electric, affordable housing for seniors as well. To decarbonize even more of Boston's buildings, we are especially excited for the opportunity to explore fossil fuel-free guidelines for new construction and major renovations in Boston, thanks to the state legislation. Our city is ready to join this pilot program to understand and lay out how banning new fossil fuel hookups can benefit our cities, our state, and our country. We'll work with our partners in labor and in real estate, building systems and energy, and public health and environmental justice to make sure that Boston will be part of this climate-conscious, health and prosperity-oriented coalition. That's why today we're filing a home rule petition calling for Boston to be included in this pilot program. This has been a step that has come most recently as a result of the state legislation that has created this pathway, but the councilors who stand here behind me and many of the colleagues who couldn't be here today have been pushing for this for a long time, and I'm grateful for their partnership and know that when we are in the legislative process for this home rule petition, which authorizes the city to join the pilot program, that's only the beginning of the partnership, because in entering the pilot and when we are formally certified to join and the state is clear which 10 municipalities are included, that begins the real process of how we engage with our community members from all sectors to set the specific guidelines and parameters of this program, and the council will be shaping that. Every step of the way, we will collaborate with environmental justice communities and advocates, labor unions and representatives, and affordable housing activists and developers to determine the most effective policy for our city. We need a policy that will provide cleaner air, lower energy costs, less carbon emissions, a better quality of life, and so much more in terms of the possibility and potential for our residents. Together, we can continue making Boston a Green New Deal city and transition to a green economy. Already, we've been exploring how to reduce fossil fuel usage in large new developments through the BPDA's Zero Net Carbon Building Zoning Initiative, and you'll hear more from Chief Jemison on that in a bit. For the last 2 years, we've been engaging with stakeholders on this initiative to set how we can make sure that net zero future is inclusive of all residents. And we're now ready to start the conversation about raising the standards for buildings under 20,000 square feet as well. This zoning initiative and the fossil fuel-free pilot will complement one another to bring as many new developments and major renovations as we can towards our shared goal of net zero emissions and a healthier climate for all. They'll also work in tandem with strong efficiency standards to be established in the state building code. I'm so grateful to our colleagues on Beacon Hill for fighting for this pilot program, to Governor Baker for signing this legislation, to the advocacy community for keeping the pressure on, and to my colleagues in the council who will now take up the charge and help shape the specific details. We can't wait to take these next steps to create a more sustainable and healthy Boston for all of us, and I'm proud that the City of Boston is taking this step to ensure that the state legislature's intent and spirit of bringing community benefit through a greener, healthier future will be maximized by hopefully including the state's largest municipality in this pilot program. Okay, otra vez en español. Buenos días y gracias a la audiencia por estar presente hoy. Estamos celebrando el proyecto sobre la justicia climática que fue aprobado por la legislatura de Massachusetts y firmado por el gobernador. Gracias a Senate President Karen Spilka, Senator Mike Barrett, House Speaker Ron Mariano, y Chairman Jeff Roy. En particular, quiero agradecer a los activistas del medio ambiente quienes se han organizado por años para luchar por un mejor futuro para todos nosotros. Es sumamente importante que tomemos este proyecto en serio, ya que las últimas 3 semanas fueron las semanas más calientes en más de 150 años en la ciudad. Sabemos que estas olas de calor continuarán, en parte a causa de las emisiones de carbono, y la mayoría de nuestras emisiones en Boston viene de los edificios. Nuestros residentes merecen vivir, estudiar y trabajar en espacios con aire de calidad que no afecten su salud. Para descarbonizar aún más los edificios de Boston, vamos a crear pautas libres de combustibles fósiles para nuevas construcciones y renovaciones importantes en Boston. Nuestra ciudad está lista para unirse en este programa piloto para comprender cómo la prohibición de nuevas conexiones de combustibles fósiles puede beneficiar a nuestras ciudades, nuestro estado y nuestro país. Trabajaremos con nuestros socios en las uniones y bienes raíces, sistemas de construcción y energía, salud pública y justicia ambiental y, por supuesto, el Consejo Municipal para comprender cómo Boston puede ser parte de esta coalición consciente del clima. Es por eso que hoy estamos presentando una petición de autonomía para que Boston se incluya en este programa piloto. Gracias. En cada paso del camino, colaboraremos con las comunidades y los defensores de la justicia ambiental, los sindicatos y representantes, y los grupos y desarrolladores de viviendas asequibles para determinar la política más efectiva para nuestra ciudad. Una política que brindará aire más limpio, menores costos de energía, menos emisiones de carbono, una mejor calidad de vida y mucho más para nuestros residentes. Juntos podemos continuar haciendo de Boston una ciudad Green New Deal y tener una transición hacia una economía verde. Ya hemos estado explorando cómo reducir el uso de combustibles fósiles en grandes desarrollos nuevos a través de la iniciativa de zonificación de edificios con cero carbono neto de la BPDA también. Ahora estamos listos para comenzar la conversación sobre cómo elevar los estándares para edificios de menos de 20,000 pies cuadrados también. La iniciativa de zonificación y el programa piloto libre de combustibles fósiles se complementarán entre sí para traer tantos desarrollos nuevos y renovaciones importantes como podemos hacia nuestro objetivo compartido de cero emisiones netas. También trabajarán en conjunto con fuertes estándares de eficiencia que se establecerán en el Código de Construcción Estatal. Estoy agradecida con nuestros colegas en Beacon Hill, en el Consejo Municipal, por luchar por este programa piloto y con el gobernador Baker por firmar esta legislación. Estamos ansiosos por dar los próximos pasos para crear un Boston más sostenible y saludable para todos nosotros. And now I will pass it over to State Representative and Chairman Jeff Roy, followed by City Councilor and Chair Kendra Lara.
Well, thank you, Mayor Wu, and you must have read the bill very closely, knowing that you have to be first in time and first in line in order to get the petition approved. So when I left the State House a few minutes ago, I did not see any other petitions there, so I think you're going to be first in line. And I do want to thank my colleagues that are here today, and I'm sure that the rest of them are still suffering the effects from the 23-hour marathon session that we had on the last day. But I want to give a shout-out to my dear friends and colleagues, Nika Eleguado and Representative John Santiago, Senator Lydia Edwards, and the staff for Senator Barrett and Senator Cream that are here. The two of them were conferees in the final negotiations for this. The passage of an act driving clean energy and offshore wind is yet another milestone for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I am thrilled that Mayor Wu and the City of Boston have wasted no time in getting on with the work of implementation. Your announcement today is bold, it's creative, and it's energizing. Yes, the pun is intended. The 10-community pilot program will offer valuable and robust data on the costs associated with building electrification. It will also give us a chance to examine closely the feasibility of fossil fuel bans. Overall, the legislation that we passed offers some creative solutions to complex problems and once again puts Massachusetts in a leadership role on clean energy production. As President Biden expressed just a few weeks ago right here in Massachusetts, he said that climate change presents a clear and present danger, and we cannot wait longer to address these issues. The legislature worked hard over the last 18 months in conjunction with so many stakeholders, many who are here today, to craft this legislation, and it's heartwarming to stand with you here today for this announcement. We wish you and the City of Boston and the Boston delegation the best in the pursuit of this clean energy solution, and boy, do we look forward to hearing the results. Congratulations and good luck.
Good morning, everybody. First, I want to start off by saying thank you to Mayor Wu and her team and all of the organizers who have fought and continue to fight for a more climate-resilient Boston. This is a big announcement that we're making today, and I have to be honest and say that I was feeling a little anxious as I prepared to come to work. But nonetheless, I was going through my routine and I was getting myself and my son ready. And as I pulled the shirt over my son Zair's head, I was reminded that the work that we're going to do in the coming months, however difficult or controversial, is going to get us closer to ensuring a livable planet, not just for us, but for all of our descendants. And to be fair, it didn't make me any less anxious. But now I was anxious and purposeful to come here today. Now, I could sit here today and warn about the impending climate crisis and how we need to take bold steps toward reversing the damage that we've made to our planet. But the reality is that all of us here have been living through floods, extreme temperatures, and droughts right now. We are in the climate crisis. And in a city where only 3% of our buildings are responsible for 50% of all of our greenhouse carbon emissions, this kind of environmental regulation is crucial to ensure that all of our neighbors and neighborhoods are protected. A Green New Deal doesn't just call for policies that address climate change. It demands job creation, a reduction in income inequality, and a commitment to a just transition away from fossil fuels that's going to put those most impacted at the center of decision making. Now, we have an embarrassment of riches here on the Boston City Council, and we are very lucky that we have people who are champions of not only environmental justice, but also housing justice, and are committed to protecting our workers. So as chair of the Environmental Justice, Resiliency, and Parks Committee, I'm excited to steward an ordinance through the City Council that is reflective of our collective vision for our city's future and is going to put our neighbors, our family, and labor leaders at the center. And I want to take this moment to make our vision and my vision very clear. That Boston is going to pass one of the first union-endorsed fossil fuel bans in the state and in the country. And that is our charge now. Because it doesn't just matter what we do to protect our planet, it matters how we do it. And it matters who we bring along and how we bring them along with us. So I'm excited to get to work. I'm excited to work collaboratively with all of my colleagues at the State House and on the City Council. And I'm ready for Boston to be the thriving city that I know it can be. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to read down the speaking program just so you don't have to hear from me again. And then if each of the speakers could kind of popcorn it to the next one after the order's taped up here. So next is going to be our brand new, still not yet started, but continuing to come to work, Green New Deal Director, Oliver Sellers-Garcia, followed by Chief of Housing, Sheila Dillon, followed by the Director of our Boston Public Health Commission, Dr. Basola Ojikutu, then our Chief of Planning, Arthur Jemison, then Zainab Magavi, Co-Executive Director of HEAT, Patrick Hayden, co-founder of HACON, and then former city councilor and climate champion Matt O'Malley, who stewarded so much before we even got to this point. So you'll hear a little bit about tangibly what this will mean for the city of Boston. Oliver?
Thank you very much, Mayor Wu, and thank you to advocates, elected officials, colleagues, everyone here today. As Mayor Wu said, my name is Oliver Sellers-Garcia. I'll be starting in September as Boston's first Boston Green New Deal Director. Thank you. We know we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from our building sector. We need to do this by eliminating fossil fuels. Municipalities have been trying to do this in Massachusetts for years, and we'd been bumping up against state laws. So I'm so happy and encouraged that the legislature and the governor have made this pilot project possible for 10 municipalities. Today, Boston will start the process to file a home rule petition that could allow us to participate in this pilot project. So why are we doing this? Of course, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but it's for several other reasons too. For health, homes that don't have fossil fuels can have cleaner air quality and are safer. For affordability, energy efficient and electrified buildings can be cheaper to operate and they save on electric bills. And for the economy, we can demonstrate the viability of fossil fuel-free buildings, and that encourages sectors of our economy to invest in green jobs and green buildings. I'm really excited to see the different diverse municipalities that participate in this pilot project and the different solutions that they propose for their communities. but I am confident that Boston's public process is going to create a model that really centers equity. We're going to create a model that works for small multifamily, a type of building that is ubiquitous in Boston and that is really not always covered by different regulations. We're going to work for a model that focuses on renters and what works for renters and landlords to take advantage of this as well. And we need to show that this really works when we pair efficiency and electrification. It's a really wonderful first step to get fossil fuels out of buildings, but we always need to use resources responsibly in the climate crisis. We recognize that this is complex, so I'm so delighted that we're going through a in-depth public process to get it right. And I just want to say, to me, this is just such a quintessential Boston Green New Deal approach to this. We're getting at the heart of the climate crisis by centering equity and developing a model that could be a catalyst for an economic change. So thank you very much. I really look forward in participating with all of you and joining the City of Boston team in just a few weeks. And now I'll pass it off to Sheila Dillon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oliver, and really look forward to working with you. It's great to be here this morning to support the filing of a home rule petition that will provide Boston the option to create a local ordinance that will restrict or eliminate the use of fossil fuels in new development. And like we do many things in Boston, this is going to be a participatory process, the crafting of the ordinance with the input of community and experts and key stakeholders. And the Mayor's Office of Housing is looking forward to participating in this very important work. It's been said that the buildings in Boston account for the vast majority of our greenhouse gas emissions. And in response, the Mayor's Office of Housing is now requiring that new affordable housing developments seeking our financial assistance follow zero-emission building requirements and use electricity and on-site photovoltaics as their sole or primary fuel source. And these requirements are relatively new, and sometimes change is difficult. But there has been solid cooperation and even enthusiasm regarding these changes. There's not one developer, not one tenant, not one community member or lender in Boston that does not realize that climate change is real and that it's here to stay and get worse unless we take deliberate and impactful action. And finally, as I stand here with my colleagues who are working hard to improve the environment, the health of Boston residents, to build a strong local economy, and the list goes on, I'm always aware, once again, of how connected we all are. Yes, we need to build more affordable housing so our residents can stay in Boston, thrive in Boston. However, if our buildings are making the environment worse, then we have not succeeded. Together, we need to imagine and create green, sustainable, healthy communities that benefit us all. Thank you. I'd like now to hand the mic over to Dr. Bizola Ojikutu.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Sheila. I'd like to begin by thanking Mayor Wu for her bold leadership on climate change and environmental justice in Boston. I think it goes without saying that climate change has had a profound impact on our city, and you've heard that from the other speakers. And we've sort of seen it, obviously, firsthand with the record-setting temperatures and the heat emergencies, the rising sea levels, and flooding along our waterfront. But what we don't talk about enough is the impact of climate change on public health and health equity. Frankly, climate change is a public health crisis. Weather emergencies like extreme heat exacerbate chronic illnesses like cardiovascular disease and respiratory disorders. Extreme heat also exacerbates some mental health disorders. We already have enormous public health disparities in terms of race and ethnicity and health outcomes, and weather emergencies just make these worse. At particular risk are the youngest and the oldest Boston residents among us, as well as our homeless and unsheltered populations. During multiple days of high heat, Boston EMS routinely sees a 15 to 20% increase in daily call volume. And this was certainly the case during the recent heat emergencies. And if greenhouse emissions continue at the current rate, in 50 years, Boston will likely experience a significant increase in heat emergencies and 2 months worth of days over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, it may seem like 50 years is a long time from now, but the reality is it isn't. The time to invest in our future is now. It is also important to note that air pollution from emissions from burning fossil fuels is also a significant health threat. Health effects from fine particulate matter from air pollution include aggravated asthma, respiratory infections, lung cancer, heart disease, and can cause premature death. Lower income individuals, people of color, people who have been made vulnerable in general are disproportionately exposed to the dangerous impact of air pollution. Overall, it is difficult to estimate the toll that climate change and air pollution will have on the health of our residents over time, but we know that it will be significant. The good news is that Boston is taking action. The work that we're doing to achieve climate justice will potentially mean fewer weather emergencies and fewer heat islands. So people in neighborhoods like Mattapan and Roxbury will be less likely to suffer heat-related illness. Climate justice also means fewer harmful airborne pollutants and green gas emissions, so communities like Chinatown will eventually note lower rates of asthma and respiratory illness. Climate justice also means a safer, healthier, and more equitable Boston for generations to come. I applaud Mayor Wu, I applaud the City Council, I applaud our partners at the state and our partners here today for believing in what is possible here in the City of Boston, for recognizing that climate policy is health policy. And that progress is possible if we commit to meaningful changes that will improve health outcomes. Thank you. And I will turn it over to Arthur Jemison, Chief of Planning.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Great to see you. We are thrilled to be here today to start this process, which we believe is going to achieve meaningful change and surely affect generations to come. This is an important step that solidifies our commitment to green building as we look forward to the future. As the most recent extreme heat events, I don't think anyone needs to be look too far to find them, learn about things that have happened in Portland and other cities. It's becoming more urgent for us to accelerate the work that we're doing to reduce carbon emissions and address the causes of climate change. Buildings are, as everyone up here has already said, are a key part of making that change. In conjunction with what the mayor is announcing today, and that she's already mentioned, BPDA is in the process of developing a zero net carbon standard to be included in Article 37 of our large project review process. That initiative is known as the Zero Net Carbon Zoning Initiative. Together, this pilot will strengthen efficiency standards across the board. It's also an example of us working together with organizations like NAIOP and A Better City who've come together with us and named members to those committees to help us make sure that the policy it works out the right way. The initiative will assess and identify strategies to strengthen green building zoning requirements for a zero net carbon standard for new construction. These are critical steps towards the city's goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2050. I would also highlight that in July, the BPDA board, along with our staff, made the commitment to decarbonize our own buildings, starting with our own portfolio in the Raymond E. Flynn Center and up in Charlestown as well. So we're thrilled about that. It starts at home, right? Over the last several months, we've been working together with city staff and the Zero Net Carbon Building team. We've got an implementation strategy for this initiative that's going to start in September. We look forward to seeing you and having you participate in the portions of that will all be public. We applaud the mayor's action today and want to thank all the advocates and others who've gathered today to celebrate this step forward. We're here to bring all the force and attention we can to this issue, and we're right here behind you. Thank you. I forgot to do something very important, which was to introduce the co-director of HEAT, Zedeb Magavi.
Hi, I'm delighted to be here, and the organization I represent today, HEAT, is a nonprofit climate solutions incubator that has been committed for years to finding a path to a just transition beyond gas. So we're really intimately aware with just how much of a challenge those four little words are, the just transition beyond gas. So I'm here to state my faith in the mayor and her amazing team that they will truly do the hard work of creating a transition plan, an energy transition plan where not just the planet, but the people too end up in a better place, especially those most impacted, the workforce and our most vulnerable communities. There's that saying that if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. And I just keep thinking that what we really need to know, what they don't tell you, is what do you do when you need to go really far, really fast? And I think the answer has got to be even more together. And so we need the existing energy workforce to have good jobs and pensions ahead of them. We need those struggling with energy bills to have them go down, not up. We need the pipes that are in the ground beneath our feet, some of them literally antiques filled with explosive gas. We need to maintain them. We need to keep the system safe, even as we build the energy system we need for the coming century. Is this challenging? Yeah. Yeah, but don't worry, because there's just beautiful shining lights of examples all around us, and you're going to hear a little more after me. But just last Thursday, I was at a college campus that for more than 10 years has been heating and cooling with networked ground source heat pumps or networked geothermal, and they're saving $1 million a year. And the people who put those pipes in, they have the same certifications as our gas workers. And they are saving not just energy, but water and all kinds of amazing co-benefits like health. It's possible. There are many ways forward for this move beyond fossil fuels. And even in East Boston, Eastie Farm has put in a ground source heat pump greenhouse, a first in Massachusetts, a geothermal greenhouse to nourish their community. And it's that kind of leadership that I see and look forward to from our city. And I just so admire this administration and their clear commitment to the process of coming together to make a real just transition plan. And I look to you to show us the way, with all stakeholders at the table and prioritizing the voices of those most impacted, growing good jobs, reducing energy burden, giving equity of access, and improving health and safety. So let's go really far, really fast together to a better world. And I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Patrick Hayden, co-founder of Haycon.
Thank you, Zainab. Hi, my name is Patrick Hayden. I'm a resident of Boston, a business owner of Boston, Haycon, a building and development company here, and we are building currently all-electric buildings. We've successfully built operational all-electric buildings. They're successful. They work, in large part in conjunction with the mayor's office and the Mass Save Passive House program. The majority of these buildings are passive house, either certified or not. A few examples of a recently completed building is a building in Hamilton, Mass. Actually, it's an 18-unit, all-electric, multifamily residential building. 71% of the common area electric, which includes its elevator, its heating and cooling, lighting, etc., are produced on-site by PV. If the remaining portion of the power was, for instance, produced from a renewable energy source, it would be a 100% renewable building. We are almost completing a project in Roxbury, 11 East Lenox, the same setup. It's actually 65% on-site renewable with PV. Super excited about that project. So both of these projects are, one is affordable, one is market rate with the IDP involved in Boston. They're feasible, they work, and we're excited to be involved in the future of buildings and building passive house, energy efficient buildings for the residents, for the environment, and for the city. So thank you. I'd like to introduce Matt O'Malley. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. It is so great to be with family. My name is Matt O'Malley. I am the Chief Sustainability Officer for Vicinity Energy. Prior to that, I spent 11 years having the incredible honor of being your voice, many of your voices, as the District 6 City Councilor. And I don't know what to add into what has already been said in words far more eloquent than my own, but one thing just sort of struck me as I was standing back there listening, and it was remembering my second year in office, then Councilor Wu's freshman year in office, working together on a gas leaks bill. And it nearly didn't pass because it was seen as politically untenable. And then we went for broke and we did the plastic bag ban, and that nearly didn't pass because it was seen as politically untenable. And I mention that for two reasons. One, to note the sea change in how the public gets it and understands the importance of bold climate action. And two, because the people who are standing behind me and others who are out there and others who are watching were the same climate warriors who have been working to this day, each and every day, for weeks and months and years, working together. And if I name them all, we will be here through next week. But congratulations to our incredible advocates, and congratulations to the leadership of our mayor, Michelle Wu, to the City Council. Special shout out for City Council President Ed Flynn, who just joined us. In the last 9 months, it is unsurprising to anyone here to underscore how Mayor Wu has worked to advance environmental policy at every level, because it's just not about saving the planet, although that's a pretty important thing to do, but it is about the public health aspect. It's about the financial aspect and job growth. Good climate policy will save lives because of better health outcomes. The green economy is thriving and is regularly overperforming the regular S&P 100 and all the funds associated with it. So this is something that's really good policy. It's good for business. It's great for the city, and we must do it for the planet. This is an exciting day in our city. We are leading once again. I am so grateful to Mayor Wu, to her team, to the council, to our colleagues at the state legislature, particularly Chairman Jeff Roy, who did yeoman's work over the last 2 years to get us to this moment. This is just the beginning, but the impact will be profound. Thank you very much. It's great to be with all of you today.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank all of the media for coming an hour early from covering the Dominican flag raising to give us a little time. I'm going to let everyone set up for the flag raising. If you have more questions, I'll meet you all over here on the side with anyone else who wants to join. And please stay and cover our incredible flag raising too. This will be the first one in a long time celebrated by the city with our amazing Dominican community. Thank you, everyone, for being here.